back to Movies on the Brain, the channel where we dive deep into the cinematic storm. I'm Jason, and today we're chasing down one of the most electrifying disaster movies of the 90s, Twister, directed by the legendary Jan de Bont and starring the dynamic duo of Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton. This movie is a whirlwind of excitement and heart-pounding action. Before we get swept away, here's your spoiler warning. We'll be dissecting every tornado twist and character turn. So if you haven't seen Twister yet, consider this your cue to catch the next weather alert. Now strap in and let's ride the storm. Now, how did Twister do in the box office? Well, Twister opened in theaters on May 10th, 1996, with a budget of anywhere from 88 to $92 million. And during its 11-week theatrical run, it earned a total of $495.7 million. Its opening weekend, Twister held the number one spot in the box office, earning $41.05 million, beating out The Truth About Cats and Dogs, The Craft, and Primal Fear, numbers 2, 3, and 4, respectively. The other films that opened the same weekend as Twister were Original Gangsters, Boys, Dead Men, Cold Comfort Farm, Of Love and Shadows, and The Lowlife. The week of August 16th through the 22nd was Twister's last week in the box office. It finished its theatrical run at number 13, being beaten out by New Movie's Tin Cup, which opened at number 1, The Fan, which was at number 4, and Bordello of Blood, which was at number 11. Now let's look at the cast and their other works. Helen Hunt as Joe Harding. Other roles for Helen Hunt include Sherry Hamilton in Soul Surfer, Kelly Frears in Castaway, and Jackie Harper in I See You. Bill Paxton as Bill. Prior to Bill Paxton's passing in February of 2017, other roles for him include Tom House in The Million Dollar Arm, Joe Loader in Nightcrawler, and the posthumous release of The Circle where he played Vinnie Holland. Cary Elwes as Jonas Miller. Other roles for Cary Elwes include Andy Warhol in Billionaire Boys Club, Ned Irish in Sweetwater, and Dr. Lawrence Gordon in 2004 Saw. Jamie Gertz as Dr. Melissa Reeves. Other roles for Jamie Gertz include Debbie Weaver in the TV show The Neighbors, Joan Fielder in Keeping Up with the Steins, and Rita in I Want You Back. Lois Smith as Aunt Meg. Other roles for Lois Smith include Sister Sarah Joan in Lady Bird, Aunt Mel in The Odd Life of Timothy Green, and the Grand Dame in 2020's Tesla. Alan Ruck as Rat. Other roles for Alan Ruck include Cameron Fry in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Doug Stevens in Speed, and he has a movie in post-production with his role yet to be revealed, which that movie is Wind River, The Next Chapter. Sean Whalen as Sanders. Other roles for Sean Whalen include Wormser in Revenge of the Nerds 3, The Next Generation, Burt Willie in Three from Hell, and Carl Ferret in the TV show The Bold and the Beautiful. Philip Seymour Hoffman is Dusty. Prior to his passing in February of 2014, other roles for Philip Seymour Hoffman include Owen Davian in Mission Impossible 3, John Savage in The Savages, and Plutarch Heavensbee in the Hunger Games franchise. Jeremy Davies as Lawrence. Other roles for Jeremy Davies include Terrence Blake in The Black Phone, Dan Shepard in Dark Harvest, and Snow in Solaris. Joey Slotnick as Joey. Other roles for Joey Slotnick include Frank Chase in Hollow Man, George Axelrod in Elevator, and Arliss in Drive-Away Dolls. Todd Field as Belzer. Other roles for Todd Field include Nick Nightingale in Eyes Wide Shut, Austin Walker in Stranger Than Fiction, and he was also director of Talk. I think that's how you say it. Wendell Josepher as Haynes. Other roles for Wendell Josepher include Rita in Ed TV, Mercy in the TV show Party of Five, and Joan Payne in the TV movie Mending Fences. Zach Grenier as Eddie. Other roles for Zach Grenier include the assistant director Bill Joy in Swordfish, Senator Hubert Dreyfuss in 2014's RoboCop, and David Lee in the TV show The Good Wife. Nicholas Sadler as Kubrick. Other roles for Nicholas Sadler include Leach in the TV show Charmed, Jonathan Good in Desperate but Not Serious, and Professor Cooper in The Bye Bye Man. Abraham Benrubi as Bubba. Other roles for Abraham Benrubi include Chet Valancourt in The Belko Experiment, Lonnie Redshirt in Strange World, and Jerry Markovic in the TV show ER. Jake Busey as a mobile lab technician. Other roles for Jake Busey include Private Ace Levy in Starship Troopers, Oscar in Beverly Hills Chihuahua 3, and he will be Drum Parker in a movie called Rust, and there's currently no release date for that. Scott Thompson as Preacher. Other roles for Scott Thompson include Arnold in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Mr. Rick Straw in True Blood, and Sergeant Chad Copeland in Police Academy 3 and 4. Now let's get to the plot. On an Oklahoma farm in 1969, young Joe, her parents, and their dog take shelter from an F5 tornado that ultimately destroys their farm and kills Joe's father as he tries to secure the cellar door to protect the family. 27 years later, Joe is a tornado obsessed meteorologist leading a ragtag team of storm chasers. Joe's estranged husband, Bill Harding, an ex storm chaser turned TV weatherman, travels to Oklahoma with his fiancee, Melissa Reeves, a therapist, to obtain Joe's signature on their divorce papers. Joe shows Bill the realized Dorothy, a capsule-like device containing hundreds of small weather sensors that he conceptualized. Dorothy could revolutionize the tornado research and potentially provide an earlier storm warning system, but the device must be deployed dangerously close to a tornado to work. Joe's team rushes off to chase a developing storm with her failing to sign the divorce papers, forcing Bill and Melissa to follow. Jonas Miller, a rival storm chaser and former colleague with corporate funding, has stolen Bill's idea for his own Dorothy-like device. Jonas plans to deploy his version first, claiming credit for its design. Enraged, Bill agrees to accompany Joe and the team for one day to successfully launch Dorothy. As the team pursues a developing tornado, Joe's truck runs into a ditch. Joe and Bill shelter under a bridge as the tornado destroys the vehicle and one of the four Dorothy prototypes. With more storms developing, Bill leads the team in his own truck, chasing an intensifying F2 tornado. They encounter Jonas's team just as Bill accurately predicts a sudden change in the tornado's path and diverts their course. While driving through the fields, water-filled fields, two waterspouts form, with one of them splitting into two, and violently thrash the vehicle before dissipating. Bill and Joe are unscathed, though Melissa is traumatized. The team visits Joe's Aunt Meg in nearby Wakita for rest and food. While there, Melissa learns more about Bill's storm chasing exploits and Joe's childhood trauma. Meanwhile, Meg implies to her niece that Bill and Joe still love each other. The team scrambles to chase a developing twister. Joe and Bill intercept a violent F3 tornado with highly unpredictable movements. It knocks over power lines that crush Dorothy too. With the truck damaged, Bill forces them to retreat, but Joe undergoes an emotional breakdown over the failure and unloads her motivations in her father's death. Bill admits his feelings for Joe, unaware that Melissa is overhearing their entire conversation through the CB radio. The team overnights in Fairview to repair their vehicles. While there, Joe signs the divorce papers to assuage Bill. A sudden nocturnal F4 wedge tornado forces the team and others into a garage pit near a drive-in theater for protection. The tornado destroys two team vehicles and injures several people, including a member of Joe's team, before proceeding directly towards Wakita and Aunt Meg. Before the team rushes to Wakita, Melissa amicably ends hers and Bill's relationship, encouraging him to reunite with Joe. The town's storm sirens provide little warning time ahead of the approaching tornado, which leaves Wakita in ruins and has flattened Meg's house. The team rescues Meg, who urges Joe to continue her research to improve weather warning systems. The National Severe Storms Laboratory forecasts a potentially record-breaking tornado will form the next day. Inspired by Meg's large wind vane sculptures, Bill and Joe add aluminum wings to the last two Dorothy prototype sensors, making him more aerodynamic. True to the forecast, a massive mile-wide F5 tornado forms the next day and the team pursues it. Bill and Joe attempt to place Dorothy 3 in its path, however, the device is knocked over and destroyed by an airborne tree. Meanwhile, Jonas attempts to deploy his own weather reading device, ignoring Bill and Joe's warning that the tornado is changing direction and heading straight at them. The tornado sweeps Jonas's truck away, killing him and his assistant. With the last remaining Dorothy affixed to the truck bed, Bill and Joe drive directly at the tornado, jumping out, sacrificing Bill's truck to ensure Dorothy 4 can properly release its probes into the wedge. The gamble is successful as Dorothy 4's probe provides immediate scientific data, but without the truck, Joe and Bill are forced to run on foot as the tornado shifts towards them. Inside a nearby pump house, they strap themselves to deep pipes to get a close view of the tornado as the building rips away and the F5's core passes over them. After the tornado dissipates, the team celebrates their success and Joe and Bill reconcile. Twister started my love for disaster movies. It's still one of my favorites in the genre, and it still holds up really well despite it being almost 30 years old. Actually, yeah, almost 30 years old. The chemistry between Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt is almost as fun to watch as the chemistry between Jamie Gertz and Philip Seymour Hoffman. Philip Seymour Hoffman steals the show in every scene he's in, especially once Jamie Gertz comes into the picture. He just has so much fun, had so much fun with that, you can tell. While I couldn't see myself doing what Bill, Joe, and the rest of the team does, it was sure fun to watch. And now for some fun facts and trivia about Twister. Excuse me. After Bill Paxton died in 2017, Spotter Network choreographed 200 storm chasers to spell out BP with a GPS tracker blips on a radar display to honor him. This kind of tribute has only been done 5 times before, and it was the first time it had been done for someone who wasn't a storm chaser. With a very loud and bass-heavy surround channel, this film was notorious for destroying surround speakers in theaters worldwide. A recording of a camel's moan was slowed down and used as the sound of the tornado. Filming in Oklahoma was briefly delayed due to the bombing of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City on April 19th, 1995. And many of the crew went to the site to help with recovery efforts. In a public Q&A at a screening of the film, Bill Paxton said he didn't meet executive producer Steven Spielberg until a year and a half later after finishing the film. He said Spielberg greeted him with, "Thanks for making me a lot of money." This was the first movie released on DVD and the last released on HD DVD. Tom Hanks was the original choice of Bill Harding. Hanks redlined with the cast and even chose the character's wardrobe, which stayed in the final film, but dropped out of pre-production and said it just wasn't what I was trying to do with my career at the time. It called for an eccentric man with a southern flair, and that wasn't me. While on the set of Apollo 13, Hanks felt his co-star Bill Paxton was perfect for the role in the film and helped Bill Paxton land the role. Oh, Mel Gibson, Kevin Costner, Dennis Quaid, John Travolta, Richard Gere, John Cusack, Nicolas Cage, Willis, Val Kilmer, Kurt Russell, and Michael Keaton were also other possible considerations to play Bill Harding. Helen Hunt was injured while filming the scene where the truck drives through the corn, when the door was forced back into her head. For later shots, the door was wedged open. Filming began on May 1st, 1995, and ended July 22nd, 1995, after 2 months, 11 weeks, or 82 days of filming. At around the hour and a half mark, the name on the tanker truck that Bill pushes Bill off the tree, is Benthic Petroleum, which is the same oil company that Ed Harris's crew works for in The Abyss. Ed Harris majored in theater at the University of Oklahoma, where the National Severe Storms Laboratory is located. Garth Brooks, Mark Cuban, and Chris Farley turned down the role of Dusty. Christopher McDonald was considered for the role of Dr. Jonas Miller, but was already committed to Happy Gilmore, where he coincidentally played a similar arrogant, smug villain. Alec Baldwin, Peter Green, and Hugh Laurie were also considered for uh, Dr. Jonas Miller. Thanks for joining me on this wild ride through Twister. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the stormy saga of Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton's race against nature's fury. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming reviews. And speaking of upcoming reviews, stay tuned because we've got a review of the sequel Twisters coming your way soon. Until then, keep your eyes to the sky and your brain on the movies. This is Jason signing off from Movies on the Brain. See you next time.